welcome to part 4 of the Ristar Let's Play, and we're in the final area of the game. This place really doesn't have that much special to it. I mean, this first part right here is really short. I mean, we're already halfway through it. So, yeah, it's really short. There's only 3 parts to this last planet. It's really not so much a planet as a man-made construction, but you get the point. You have this part, then you have a boss room, and another boss room, and that's it. Once you get past this part, we're pretty much done with the first area. That thing will always follow you, so don't worry about it. It doesn't hurt you or anything. It's actually a weird mechanical part for the next boss. The electrical barrier, you can't go past it. If you try, you'll take damage. And since healing is kind of sparse, from here on out, I wouldn't advise testing it out anyway. Anyway, this boss fight really tests your knowledge of how to abuse invincibility frames. The only way to know to dodge that blast with his gun is to spam the invincibility frame at the moment he fires off his shot, and you will avoid getting hit. Unfortunately, that won't work with the boomerang because, well, it depends on where exactly you use it. The boomerang's just really annoying in this boss fight. And how in the world did I not actually take damage there? The boomerang will just slowly kind of follow you around. It'll eventually go off screen, but then it'll come back. And there's no really good way of dealing with it. I mean, it shouldn't really drain your health, but it's still kind of annoying to deal with. But after so many hits, that guy goes down, and we're in the final boss of the game. Which, depending if you know the trick to this guy, can either be pretty simple or fairly difficult. And this guy has several phases on this. First phase, he does this. He's basically testing you. Which is what a lot of final bosses tend to do, I gotta see what you're made of before I can actually fight you. Instead of just killing off the main character as quickly as I can, which would be the logical and pragmatic thing. Anyway, we have the second phase. In this phase, he'll drop those 2 enemies every time you hit him. So, you want to take the enemies, because they'll just really get in your way. Anyway, this part is actually kind of interesting, because you can heal if you actually successfully grab one of those bombs in midair, it'll drop a star. And that's the only way to heal during the final boss fight. But once you get to this part, you can't do that anymore. He'll stop doing it. You see that gravity well in the right? Instant death. So, yeah, avoid it. This actually tripped me up as a kid trying to figure out how to not get caught up in that. But just hold on to one of the enemies, and you'll be just fine. You'll avoid getting sucked in. Now, this part is kind of tricky because of where he pops up on the screen. Normally he'll try to throw a bolt of lightning at you, and it's almost impossible to dodge, but he always does it from the top right corner. I tested this out, and I confirmed it myself. He will always do it from the top right corner, so if you always attack that part, you're pretty much invincible. I mean, I was blatantly spamming the attack button, attacking the top right corner over and over and over again, and he still did it, so, I mean, if you attack different sides, that would have made it a lot more difficult, but as long as you do that, you should be just fine. If you don't do that, well, you can dodge his lightning if you're in a good spot, but it's still really hard. Anyway, the rest of this is pretty much automatic. The shape of that castle reminds me of something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, for a Genesis game, that's not too bad of a voice sample. I know some Genesis games had some really bad voice samples. What was that really shitty game? Awesome Possum, I think it was called. I know it had some really bad voice samples, so that's what I thought of. Anyway, we have a credit sequence. They show some really colorful artwork of the game, which I think is neat. This game has a very, I don't know if I'd call it distinctive, but it stands out. It's very pleasing and appealing, and really I think the art is one of the better strengths of this game. Not that the gameplay isn't great, it is, but I just think Ristar's best attribute probably is its visual design. it's very, very pleasant to look at. It's very pretty on the eyes, what I mean to say. I especially like a lot of the artwork involving the boss battles. And especially, you can see like the resolution of how Ristar helps out each planet. And they're all thankful for him and all that stuff. You know, it makes you feel all nice, warm, and fuzzy inside. And see, that boss has a tail. They didn't take it out. Localization department. And also, one thing I like that I find very interesting is they actually show up every single animation Ristar has in the game here. So if you actually missed out on a few of them, because some of them require you to stand still and not do anything to see, you can see them here. The animation quality for this game is extremely good. I think this is definitely one of the best looking games on the Genesis, and I think proof that it's not bad at graphics as far as 16-bit games go. Obviously, the Super Nintendo had its edge, but I still to say that Genesis games looked awful is really over-sensationalizing things. But now for, I guess, an overall review of it on my own. Ristar's a childhood game I played a lot. I wasn't very good at it when I first played it, obviously, because this game's a bit difficult. I made this game look easy, but it's probably nowhere near as easy as I made it to seem. Because I know a lot of people who have played this game, they kind of struggled with it. So, but this game just kind of does everything right and really doesn't have a critical flaw that holds it back. I don't really think this game is deep enough to qualify as like a perfect game or a masterpiece, but I still think this is an extremely solid game. If you're going to have like a library of 16-bit games, I think this game deserves to be on that list. I think this is a really underrated game, and I hope to have done it some justice. Not that having a grand total of 3 people watch my videos qualifies as doing this game justice, but you know. What's coming up next is, as a reward for getting all the treasures, they'll throw a whole bunch of passwords at you. They only show 4 passwords. There's other passwords that aren't shown in-game that you can still use, and there's some passwords that aren't shown that only work in the Japanese version of the game. I'm not going to go into detail about those. There's information on the internet about that. So, yeah. And they're going to show you your passwords. Not all that important. Anyway, this has been another Let's Play of mine, and I'm just going to sign out. See you guys next LP.